Welcome to Let's Hug It Out with Roberto Raad, the debate show where we argue the most important and serious topics ever. From dogs versus cats, Beatles versus Stones, moms versus dads, nothing is out of bounds as long as in the end, everybody hugs it out. I'm your host, Roberto Raad. We are available on Apple. We're available on Apple, Spotify, iHeart, Amazon, Buzzsprout, YouTube, and all standard podcast platforms. Please follow us on IG at Let's Hug It Out Podcast and Let's Hug It Out Podcast.buzzsprout.com. Buzzsprout! I don't know why I went weird in German right there. What's wrong with me? So many things. Guys, today is one of my favorite topics. I know I say this every show, but this time it's fucking true. Best film of all time. That's right. You heard it here first. Best film of all time. I have two awesome and amazing guests, both who have chosen amazing films, two movies which are very dear and near. I've had too much caffeine. That's just life. That's just fucking life. Very near and dear to my heart. We'll start off with voice actor and producer at the very prestigious ad agency RR Partners, Dennis Caldwell. Dennis, what's up, buddy?
Good, man. How are you doing?
I'm great, man. I'm great. What movie? Please tell the audience what movie you have chosen.
Well, I have chosen Back to the Future by Robert Zemeckis because it is the greatest movie of all time.
Woo! We're gonna get into the music later. I love that. I've got a crazy Back to the Future story that I'm excited to tell you guys about later. I should be dead, but I'm alive. And then moving on to my next guest, stand-up comedian, actor, filmmaker, works all over town in Las Vegas, specifically at the LA Comedy Club at the top of the stratosphere, Spiro Siavelis. What's up, buddy?
I wanted to join in with the air horns. I'm good, bro. How are you doing, man?
I'm great. You're a little bit of a musical disadvantage because Back to the Future is such an iconic song. What's Goodfellas? Goodfellas is like got the better soundtrack with music from other artists, right?
Yeah, they got the soundtrack that like your grandparents would listen to and be like, remember what it was like back in Vietnam? This is the music we listen to.
Holy shit, you just aged me, motherfucker, because I was like, grandparents, that's music that I listen to. That's another great topic is which movie has the better music and soundtrack. I forgot about that. But guys, what's up? How's it going? Dennis, how have you been? Are you back to work at our partners? What's going on in pandemic world?
Well, since March, I've been here in the same spot and haven't moved quite a bit. We haven't been in office since then. And it's been homebody central for how many months? 9 months. Yeah, so
9 months, a full pregnancy term.
Quite the drag. Yes, exactly. I think I have a little infant running around here somewhere because it's a wild time here, man.
Yeah, but you guys are back producing content and back making stuff for clients and whatnot?
Yeah, man. We got something, depending on when this is going to air, we got something really massive happening for New Year's. Excited for everyone to see. It's going to be really, really something cool, something a nice alternate to what you guys are used to with the fireworks and stuff. So,
cool.
You guys will see that on New Year's Eve. So make sure you watch it.
We will. You guys create just such amazing content. It's unbelievable. All right. Spiro, what's the Vegas comedy scene like right now? Spiro, does anybody ever call you Spiro? Do they do that?
No, that's a new one. I usually get I get Spiro, like the dragon. I get that a lot. I get if you're Asian, you say Shapiro. I don't know why, but that's always how it is. I've gotten Sergio before.
Sergio? How the fuck are you, Sergio?
People just take the first letter and the last letter, and they're like, the middle.
The middle.
It's not important.
We'll just go off on our own.
Close enough.
Yeah. So how's the Vegas comedy scene right now?
It's good.
Yeah.
It's good, man. It's good. Like I said, it's good just to be back. For a while, we didn't even think comedy would be back ever. We thought it would be like the death of live performance. Mm-hmm. So the fact that we're even back with limited capacities, like we're just grateful, and the people that come out are just ready to have a good time. Yeah. They want to forget for like an hour and a half. So it's been nice. It's been a cool experience.
That's awesome. I actually have a microphone question. Does the mic, if you don't mind me going into this, and we can edit it out. Like, I don't want to go into the details of but I'm actually curious. I'm sure people would be curious. Like, do microphones get wiped off? Who wipes it? Is it the host? If it happens, like, what's the process? Literally in the handing off of the microphone.
So, people have been handling it different. Like, so when I went to, when I toured a little bit when things first started opening up, a club in Chicago, they literally gave us our own mic for the whole weekend. They just handed us a mic and they're like, this is yours.
Oh, wow.
Bring it to all the shows. Make sure you don't lose it. Colorado, they had the host wipe everything down.
Yeah.
And I have mic condoms anyway, just little things like go on top. So.
And it doesn't mic condoms? And
yeah, that's what they're called. They're called mic condoms.
Really?
They come in a pack of like 100 and you just put them on like a normal condom.
Are you looking around
right
like you have them
microphone.
near you? I'm just so curious what the hell these look. No, don't. You know, if they're not right in
I don't
arms.
have 'em.
Yeah, don't worry.
Yeah, I was looking to see if I had my bag with me, but it's
Because you look to
downstairs,
you look to the right. I was like, oh, is he gonna pull out a mic condom? Because I have no idea what this thing.
I was going to show it off.
Yeah,
I was going to show it off.
It's not this is the dumbest. It's not latex. What is it?
No, it's like a. Oh my god, not like plastic, but it's somewhere in between the plastic and the actual
right.
You know,
it's gotta be some
like squishy material.
I like the idea of comedians having to carry around microphones like students used to have to carry around eggs. You remember when you have to like carry just keep the egg safe? Did anyone,
what it felt like.
do that growing up?
It's the most responsible I felt in a long time.
Yeah,
for something.
yeah.
It's like I can't afford to lose this microphone. I can't get this out of my paycheck.
Yeah. So that's awesome, man. Well, I'm glad that it's all coming back. Vegas has an amazing stand-up comedy for those who don't for those who don't know. For the fans listening, for all the fans, Vegas has an amazing comedy scene, an amazing film scene. A lot of people will just think of Vegas as the Las Vegas Strip. And the reason why I'm getting into this is because we have a very, a great stand-up comedian, very great producer here, both who, are content creators in Vegas. And Vegas is pretty great, man. It's pretty great when it comes to the arts. And people don't probably know that. They think of it as the Strip and Hangover and puking on nightclubs. But there's a lot more to that. And that's cool.
I mean, that's fun too. Like, that's always a good time.
Yeah,
don't miss out on that.
Yeah, I'm not knocking on this thing. There's just so much more. Well, that's great. So your movie choices, Spiro, did you tell me your choice yet? You said.
Oh, I don't think so. I'm doing Goodfellas by everyone's favorite Italian grandpa, Martin Scorsese.
Goodfellas, and Dennis, you chose
Back to the Future.
Back to the Future versus Goodfellas. Martin Scorsese.
Yes.
Scorsese. Is it Scorsese or Scorsese?
I think it's whatever floats your boat. You could say both.
Yeah.
If you want to fancy it up, you throw the pinky up and say Scorsese.
Drink your tea.
Yeah, I drag it out. Scorsese.
I saw a Scorsese film.
Yeah. Smoking your cigarette with the cigarette holder. Zemeckis versus Scorsese. That's such a. Why now? I want to know, why did you guys choose your film? Because you can compare it to, once again, this is best film of all time, not just your favorite film, but what you think is the best film of all time. In comparison, some people could choose Citizen Kane or Casablanca or 2001: A Space Odyssey, but you chose Back to the Future. You chose Goodfellas. So the first thing I'm going to ask you is, of all the films, besides it being one of your favorites, why did you choose your film? And actually, before we even get to that, let me read some rules here. Let me read some goddamn fucking rules here. Here's what's up, guys. Here's what's up. You'll each be given 2 minutes to state your case, after which point we will proceed to back and forth between the two of you. I expect you to allow your opponent time without interruption, but if you must interrupt, then so be it. We will switch near the end, and you will choose opposing sides and complete the debate. Winner will be decided by our audience, who will tell us via social and all that shit, who won, which is their favorite movie, blah, blah, blah. So we're going to get right into it, guys. We're going to jump right in. Otherwise, we'll never start this fucking debate. Real quick, though, before we get into it, did you guys see the Tom Cruise rant? Did you hear?
Loved it.
Yeah, and I know where I stand. I'm curious where you guys stand. Are you pro Team Cruise on this one, or what do you think is too far? What either of you answer, Spiro? What do you think?
I mean, I get it. Like there's better ways, in my opinion, to always go about those kind of things. Yeah. But I mean, you can't fault somebody for calling stuff out if he doesn't feel like it's the proper way to handle things or for people's safety.
Yeah. What about you, Dennis?
Yeah, man. I think it was the best rant since Christian Bale, and it was
Right?
just fantastic. It was just like you don't get that Tom Cruise just swearing so much that often.
Ever.
It's just,
Ever.
It's just great. Just like F all that, F all that. You get your fucking it was just I loved it. I listened to it like 3 or 4 times because because right now with this project we're working on, that's one of our biggest things because we're going to be working with a lot of people, so it might be something like that on set. So I definitely understand where he's coming from. The frustration is real, sir.
Yeah, I mean, people's livelihoods are literally at stake. People's jobs, people, aside from their health, people's jobs are at stake. And so I'm completely in support of him. But then again, I was totally in support of Christian Bale with his rant. You know what I mean? He seems like such a crazy method actor. Oh, good for you. He's like he's so into it. And like, if you had a DP, you're an actor. If you have somebody literally crossing your eye line nonstop. I mean, we don't know if how many times he did it, but imagine if he's like, into it, and this guy's just like going by, just like checking the light reader. I mean, with Cruise, he's probably got an insane amount of pressure. Probably convinced all the studio heads that they could pull off a huge budget production.
I mean, one outbreak, you're 2 weeks, your production has to pause. Yeah. So it's a lot of money being, handled. So if you fuck up, you know what I mean? That's money wasted. So
and I can agree with go ahead, Spiro.
I'm very proud of him too because a lot of people wouldn't call anything out, especially a Scientologist who already has the vaccine in his grasp. Yeah. Glad to see that he's not
the Scientologists have do you think Scientologists they've had the vaccine for months?
Oh yeah, like Trump said China made the virus. I'm pretty sure it's the Scientologists. Come at me, Scientologists.
Scientologists, come at him. Don't come at me.
come at me.
Spirit, go after him. Don't stay away from me. Don't I don't want to lawyer up. Okay, guys, we're gonna start the debate. Finally, we're gonna choose. Why did you choose the film that you chose? Spiro, I'll let you have it first. You have 2 minutes and a go.
Yeah, the reason why I chose the film, I grew up in Chicago, so obviously the mob culture, the Italian culture is everywhere. Parents grew up in the lifestyle. They know a bunch of people that are in that realm, that world. I feel like I've always dated Italian women, so it's like an initiation to watch Goodfellas in an Italian household. Like they show it to you as like a threat. They're like, look what could happen to you if you don't get in line and you're not a good person around our family. Yeah. So now I'm married to an Italian woman. So now I'm like in Goodfellas. Like I walk in places, they put tables down for me, and I'm like, well, this is like I'm like Karen.
Yeah.
She's like Henry. I'm like Karen. Like I'm just enjoying. I'm a half Jewish person in the Italian mob world. I'm like, this is the craziest thing I've ever seen. So the movie just speaks to me on a whole new level. Other than that, I think the performances are great. I mean, the cast is just outstanding. You got De Niro, you got Liotta, you got Pesci, you got it essentially shaped every mob movie that was ever made after that, and every crime movie after that. So I think it's something that just stands on its own. It shows like a whole culture, a whole way of life, and its foundation is just incredible for what has come after that. So.
All right. He lays it down with authority. Sir Dennis, why did you choose Back to the Future? Dun, dun. Oh, it's so hard not to go right into that, but go on. You have 2 minutes, sir.
Well, my opponent obviously already looks like Henry, so I must say, he's already a little bit biased. But no, I'm all about Back to the Future because, honestly, I've been a fan since a kid. It's probably the one movie I've watched over and over and over and over. I'm just going to say this too. I'm a bit of a rambler, so if some of my points go off track, that's it.
You're in good company. We're all ramblers here. I think all three of us are probably like...
But yeah, man, Back to the Future has just been in my childhood since I was a kid. I watched it more than any other film, I would have to say. It's just the perfect movie, man. Like, it tackles every single genre. You got comedy, you got drama, you got sci-fi. I mean, you even got a guy trying to F his mom, So like let's be real. Like, you don't get that in all kinds of movies. So it's really just like, and then that buddy aspect. I mean, we still don't know how Marty and Doc, this, guy that's either 55 or 85, we don't know how that connection happened with those two, but that's like one of those things that always bothered me. But I think that buddiness, though, really carries the movie. It just shows this, like, no matter who you are, you can have a great friendship, even if it's with a high school teenager and this crazy mad scientist that's disgraced. I mean, dude, it's just the movie. I just feel like, wow, I don't know. Like, I think it's just like the number one movie you think of whenever you think of time travel, for one.
Yeah.
And then also just like your 80s, like going into that whole, like, when you think of like Breakfast Club, you think of, all those like hits,
all the John Hughes
from
films,
the 80s. Yeah, man. Like, you just get that feeling of like nostalgia when you watch that movie. So I just think it just hits every single point for me.
Copy that. And Spiro, do you think that that the film is, so both are two of the best directors of all time? I mean, that's, you can't really argue that. They're definitely in the top 5, top 10. Is your film Goodfellas, is that the best of Martin Scorsese's films?
I personally think so. I mean, it probably would have gotten the accolades and the hype that it deserved if it wasn't against such a stacked Academy Award season in 1990. I mean, you have all, like, you look at the list and the lineup, it's all typical, like, what normally wins the Oscars. Very sad, dramatic, period pieces.
Yeah.
It's like, ooh, look at them wearing old clothes. Let's give this all the awards pop. Like, where I feel like if you put that in any other year, it would have more than likely won Best Picture. So I think for sure it should have been Scorsese's first Oscar for Best Picture. Yeah. I feel like they rewarded him later
with Departed.
With Departed, yeah.
And
I think Departed is a good movie, but I think it's essentially piggybacking off of the Goodfellas style.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think by far it's one of his best pieces, if not his best piece.
Yeah. And what about you, for same question, but with Robert Zemeckis?
It is definitely my favorite film. I think it is his best work. I think the only other one would probably be Forrest Gump, because that's another iconic movie that visits so many different, that checks so many different boxes and stuff. Like you have history and all that stuff, and then you got Castaway. That's another favorite of mine. I love that because it's just you just see Tom Hanks doing his thing, just acting and being a superior actor. But I just think Back to the Future is his cream of the crop, and he just really, it's a storytelling masterpiece. Like I watched the film in college. Like they showed us, Back to the Future, and we studied its story arc, its structure. How every act really sets up each other, and everything is like there on purpose. Every line, everything sets each other up. So again, I think it's just a perfect film.
So you were in college when you first saw Back to the Future. Spiro, how old were you when you first saw Back to the Future?
When I first saw Back to the Future, oh man, I was young. I was probably like 8 or 9 years old.
Okay. And then
sorry, my bad. No, I saw Back to the Future when I was a kid. I meant to say, like, I studied Back to the Future when I was.
Excuse me, studied. I misheard you. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, because I was like, "Fuck, your childhood kind of sucks if you didn't see Back to the Future as a kid."
No,
someone
I saw
failed.
it when I was a
someone
kid,
failed.
like 100
someone
times.
failed somewhere. But okay, good. I'm glad they took care of that. I'm glad at the very least your parents let you see Back to the Future when you were a child.
Yes.
Okay, so you saw it when you were a kid. You studied it. That's my fault. I didn't hear you properly. So you guys were both kids when you saw Back to the Future. So I was as well. And then how old were you when you first saw Goodfellas? Either one, Dennis?
Well, I guess I'll just reveal it now. I was
Go ahead.
35, which was a few days ago. I watched Goodfellas for the very first time.
What? Wait, what? This is
I think I've won already.
this is a shocking revelation.
Dude.
Oh my God! Wait, really? Okay,
Yeah.
hold on. I got to jump into that. Spiro, you got to hold on for a second.
Yeah, dude, take your time.
Why? I'm just gonna say what the fuck is what I'm gonna say. What the fuck? Why? Is it?
Dude.
How do you miss? I mean, have you seen this other shit like Casino and Raging Bull and obviously Departed we just discussed? But why do you? Is it just one of those things that you like? It's one of those movies that somehow just bypassed you?
I mean, I'm gonna be real. Like a lot of classic film, I have never seen. Like, I mean, this would be a whole nother podcast. But like Indiana Jones, never seen it. Lord of the Rings, never seen it. I mean, Raging Bull, I've never seen. I mean, I've seen Martin Scorsese's works. I've seen Wolf of Wall Street. I've seen Departed. I've seen Casino, like you mentioned. But it's just. I think the whole mafia genre is just not my character.
It's not your thing.
Yeah. I watch it and, trust me, I loved it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like pop culture, I understand why it's such a dominant movie in pop culture. Like you see it everywhere. But yeah, man, it was just one of those things I just never got around to seeing. Again, it was just mainly because like Mob. I was like, So that's my reasoning.
Guys, hold on for 1 second. So, and Spiro, you were, we were just talking about how old you were when you saw Spiro. How old were you when you saw Goodfellas for the first time?
Oh man, I think I was like 14. I was 13, 14. Yeah, I used to wake up a lot when I was a kid in the middle of the night. My dad would work late.
Yeah.
And he would watch like HBO, and I would sit behind the couch and I would sit there and I'd watch. So I would watch like Carlin and Pryor specials. I'd watch all that stuff when I was like 13 years old.
Yeah.
And I think he was watching it and I was just like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
What's happening in this movie?
That's my film education as well. I saw a lot of pretty hard R-rated movies at a very young age when I shouldn't have. And that's probably why I'm so fucked.
That's why we're comedians.
Yeah, precisely. Or one of the reasons. I mean, I was very young when I saw Goodfellas. I mean, I saw Scarface at a super young age. My father brought it. We used to have family movie night. And, my dad's from Brazil. And my mom's from Australia. She's very strict. My mom would not let us. We didn't have cable growing up. My mom was very strict with what we could see and not see. But my father, in Brazil, they don't give a fuck. I saw all my hard R-rated movies, when I was really young with all my Brazilian uncles and whatnot because they didn't give a shit. And my dad brought home Scarface for family movie night. And, we're all kids. We're, 5, 8, 9 years old. and Tony Montana is just at the first scene, just like, fuck. And we're just like, oh. My mom's flipping out, yelling at my dad. So, I saw Goodfellas at a very young age. It's curious to me how that sort of is a movie, is it held dear to your heart if you see it at a younger age versus an older age? I wonder if Dennis, if you had seen, the reason I bring this up, if you had seen Goodfellas at a younger age, if you would have a greater love for it, or maybe you're just like, fuck mafia movies, not my jam, versus Spiro and I, we both saw Goodfellas at seems like a younger age, that it's kind of almost part of our childhood. So we have that love of it from our childhood, almost from a nostalgia sort of standpoint, the way you would with Star Wars.
Nah, man. I did see Scarface when I was young and things, but I don't know. I just never latched on to the mafia genre. Like people would always telling me, you haven't seen Goodfellas, you haven't seen. I'm like, nah, I'll get around to it.
Have you seen Godfather?
Yes, I've seen Godfather. I watched it in college. I did watch that.
Which is leading my next question. I mean, Spiro, I know your answer because you're choosing Goodfellas as best film of all time.
Yeah.
But that's a debate right there, which is Goodfellas versus The Godfather. You clearly choosing Goodfellas over The Godfather. Why is that?
Well, here's a controversial topic. I mean, you said no controversial topics allowed, but I'm not a fan of The Godfather. I just don't like it. It's boring.
Wow,
it's boring. It's
all
dark.
Three?
I'm like,
dark. You mean like the cinematography is dark, or the
cinematography is
Super
dark?
dark.
I'm like, I get sleepy. Marlon Brando, I love him, but I'm just like, okay, open your mouth, Brando. Let's hear what you got to. Let's hear what you got to say. So it just, I don't know, it just didn't hit for me. It just didn't click. Maybe because it's again like the lifestyle and the people that I knew growing up, and I've known throughout my life, where that's a little bit more. Godfather's a little bit more old Italy mafia, distant, where like that kind of whole like the Scorsese regime genre is kind of more like what my parents grew up with, what my wife's parents grew up with. So I think it's a little bit more relevant to me.
Okay. All right.
I have to agree with what Spiro said, because like watching Goodfellas, it was just so much more realistic. You know what I mean? Even though, it was based on a true story, but like it was so realistic. I guess I'm not helping my case right now.
Ready? So let's move on to our next topic. Let's talk real quick about the music. Back to the Future has let's just talk about the soundtrack in general. Back to the Future, I believe, has more of an original score, or is more known for its original score, although it does have that great hit from Huey Lewis and the News. But Goodfellas is one of the best cinematic examples of music being brought together and aiding the story of the film. Let's talk about which one has the better music soundtrack, whether it's from other artists or whether it's an original score. Dennis, you can lead this. You have a minute and a half. Go.
Yeah, man. Just like you said, Huey Lewis and the News. I mean, that's just iconic. You think of that, and that's already. You think of Back to the Future, and then Johnny B. Bad. I mean, come on, man! Like that was just like I still sing that song just like in the shower, because I just think I'm that badass on the stage. And then that horns with the theme of this thing. And you know what I mean? Like that's just like it just makes you feel good, like automatically when you think of that. It's just like a song and score before its time, in my opinion. And then all the other music too that you have, like that's sprinkled from the 50s and stuff. Like when he first arrives into the 50s, it's like Mr. Sandman, bring me a treat. I love that. That just makes you feel good. And like although those times for my type wasn't that great, but it was just a fantastic look into the past. It was really a nice kind of like reflection of that kind of time, and with the music, it carries that same. The music really carries its own kind of character, in my opinion.
Yeah. Spiro, what about for you?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, obviously it's for the time, and they try to build it for the time, just like in Back to the Future. So you can always appreciate the relevance to the music, to that, to kind of get a sense of the generation, a sense of the time, a sense of the character. But I think, Goodfellas soundtrack might not be the greatest, like just as far as song wise, but for life, I think their soundtrack is probably the best. Because it teaches you, like, Back to the Future's happy. You hear that music, you're going to be happy, you're going to dance, you're going to do what you got to do.
Sorry.
Yeah, you hear the music from Goodfellas, you know that some shit might go down in the restaurants, and or Joe Pesci might come and stab you in the neck. Like, you got, like, their music, if you're in a restaurant or a bar, and all of a sudden the music gets so loud that you can't even think or hear straight, some shit's about to go down. So that's how I live my life now. If I hear the music get too loud in a bar, I immediately just pack up and go. So Goodfellas soundtrack has saved my life. Probably no times, but you never can be too careful.
So going back, which because does Goodfellas have an original score? Is it all just other artists? Which, by the way, is not a sight, because once again, Scorsese uses it to aid the story better than any other artist, as far as I'm concerned. But does Goodfellas have an original score like Back to the Future has?
No, I think I'm pretty sure, and don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure like 95 to 99% of it's all like already like hits from that time that he uses to build the tension or tell the story in a nonverbal way in the scene to try to create the mood. Yeah. So I don't think there's an original soundtrack. I think it's all like how he does with his other films. Right. He uses songs from the time.
Yeah, and better than, I mean, that's to me one of the greatest examples, if not the greatest example of using music to help aid your story. Dennis, I mean, the original score for me for Back to the Future, I mean, I'm trying to think of, other than maybe like John Williams with the original Superman, I'm trying to think of a more iconic, there's many, there's Jurassic Park and Jaws and whatnot, E.T. and whatnot. But Back to the Future is just so goddamn iconic. How does that compete with Goodfellas soundtrack?
Yeah, man. I mean, it's really tough because it's just those are two different types of genres, and like Spiro was saying, it's almost happy versus dark, the light versus good, and or light versus dark, good versus bad, and it's like so just uplifting when you think of Back to the Future. Like I can't even think of any darker music tones in the movie, maybe the sci-fi scene, but that's probably about it. Or when Biff is trying to take out George, but that's literally, it's like dominated by horns, and it's really, really nice.
Yeah, Biff. Yeah, I mean, there's Back to the Future has a pretty goddamn dark scene in there. Not to go into this topic too deeply, but I mean, Biff with Marty's mom. I mean, in the back seat of the car, he's getting a little rapey back there.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Just a little bit. That's
a little bit.
If for a family film, it definitely enters into some fucking dark territory.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. Once again, you're right. Or what you said earlier, it's a film that kind of has a little bit of everything, but definitely enters into some adult themes that I don't know are super kid friendly. And it's a family film, which is funny. It's funny to me.
True. I mean, it does, and I feel like a lot of Robert Zemeckis films carries those darker themes, like especially with Who Framed Roger Rabbit, man. Like, like when you first watch those cartoon characters get dipped, oh my god, it just ripped my childhood apart. Oh, I still think about those little shoes getting dipped into the acid. It's terrible.
Yeah. Well, now Goodfellas is just dark throughout. I mean, Goodfellas is just as dark of a movie as you could possibly get.
Right. Yeah. No. And I think Zemeckis, obviously, I think he strategically, because it was at a time where there was no PG-13 rating. It was PG to R back in the late 80s, early 90s, right?
That's right.
I think PG-13 came in like 93, 94, something like that.
PG-13, I think, came a little bit earlier. I think one of the first few was Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. I think is one of the first PG-13 films.
Okay.
But with that being said, I can't remember what year, if Back to the Future was before that or after that, but for whatever reason, Back to the Future did not get a PG-13 rating, which looking back, yeah.
No, same with Who Framed Roger Rabbit as well. It's PG, so I think he was able to play to the adults and the youth with the movies because of the limitations with the rating system.
What was Forrest Gump? Was that rated R or PG-13?
I think PG-13.
I think it was PG.
PG-13.
PG?
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm looking up.
Even though Jenny did her best to give Forrest Gump AIDS.
Yep.
Worst person on the planet.
Yeah. Come on, Jenny. When I first watched it, I was like, wait, how did he not get? He doesn't have AIDS? I missed the time. I had to rewatch. It was only after like the fourth time I saw it. I was like, okay, I think I'm understanding the timeline now. About Forrest didn't.
Yo.
Like, I'm not. Yeah.
Fun fact.
Yeah.
I just found this out just a few days ago, or a few weeks ago rather. Did you guys know that Dave Chappelle was supposed to be Bubba? He was
I have heard of something like that.
He was originally supposed to be Bubba. Yeah. He turned it down because he was like, he didn't want to be, this like really, like disabled person. Yeah. As like a support to this white guy leading this movie and stuff. And he turned it down. He was supposed to be Bubba though.
I'm sure he would have knocked it out of the park.
Agreed.
He would have also been very young at the time.
Yeah. Super young. It was like during his Def Jam days.
Way before Half Baked, right?
Oh,
Way
man. It was like 94.
Oh, so that's like near the beginning of his career?
Yeah, because, he was doing stand-up comedy. I want to say Killing Me Softly, his little stand-up thing was like 96.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You're going to lead me into another tangent. I mean, Chappelle is just... He's on his own fucking level. He's really not even a comedian anymore. He's just like he's gone above that, and he's like in his own plane right now. It's just insane. He could literally do whatever the fuck he wants.
Mm-hmm. It's so good to watch. It's so amazing to watch him work and just appreciate what he's doing, what he's saying, how he's doing it. Just so powerful.
Did you see that last YouTube video that he put out where he's telling his fans not to watch Chappelle's show anymore because of the whole controversy?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, they pulled it from Netflix and HBO Max.
Did HBO Max? Thank you for that, because I know Netflix pulled it out because that was within that special. But did HBO Max, because of that, pull it?
Yep, they did the same thing.
Yep.
I think
just announced it. I think a couple days ago.
Yep. I think Viacom is the only streaming service that has it because they technically own it. So
yeah, that's crazy. That because he said that he's thought about doing more Chappelle show and he can't. Imagine he doesn't have the rights to his own name. Is crazy to me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what? That's nuts. That's nuts. But he is. I mean, he's the GOAT. You know, he's the GOAT.
Oh yeah.
Of
he's definitely stepped into that territory. Yeah. Like he's put a step way forward from everybody else.
There's like him. There's Carlin. There's Pryor. You know, you could.
Those are the three. Those are the three.
You could throw. I mean, some people. I'm super into Bill Hicks. I know it's way before his time. Yeah. I mean, I also really love Bill Burr right now. These are more modern day comedians, but
John
yeah.
Mulaney,
anyway, that's
sorry.
What's that?
I love John Mulaney because I'm gonna actually bring up.
Oh, Mulaney's great.
Oh my god, because he has the best Back to the Future joke. It's fantastic.
What is it? What's the joke?
He just talks about how it's a disgraced scientist going back to the past to go fuck his mom. And he talks about the pitch, and he's like, I want to hear how the pitch. Did you guys think about the pitch, how that went? And so you're gonna call it Back to the Past. Oh, what do you think of that? We're actually going to call it Back to the Future, but you're going to the past. So, I love that punchline.
Mulaney is amazing. Mulaney is amazing.
It's a great
but I digress. Let me get us back on track. If that's even possible at this point. My editor is just shaking her head like, God damn it. All right, let's go into this. Which film? Spiro, we'll start with you. Which film? This is a three-parter.
Ooh. Three-parter.
Which three-parter? Which film would you say is more iconic, more culturally relevant, and which one would you say had the greater impact on cinema? Spiro, you have 1 minute. This is a very strict debate. So you have 1 minute.
I got the two parts. What's the third part? So it's the.
Now I gotta look at my fucking Word document again.
Sorry.
I don't have this shit memorized, dude. Which had the greater impact on cinema?
Okay, and then which was?
And which one's more iconic, more culturally relevant?
Okay.
Both at the time and today as well. You have what? You have 1 minute, sir.
So I think Back to the Future would probably be more iconic for pop culture, just because it has that expanded demographic from younger to older demographics, because just what we said earlier, where I think Goodfellas is definitely more geared. Well, it's definitely geared towards adults and a specific culture. So I think more people probably have seen Back to the Future over Goodfellas and are able to reference that more. As far as more iconic with cinema, I would have to go with Goodfellas, because what Scorsese did in that movie has shaped a lot of that, like a lot of the cinematography, a lot of the voiceover work, a lot like soundtrack, the acting methods, the ensemble acting methods that he put into place. I think just really shaped a lot of the rated R scene and the crime genre in the future. And then you see it a lot. The same cinematic techniques mimicked in a lot of other movies and shows, and I think his genius essentially was like cemented there, and he was able to expand from there. So yeah, I would have to go with that.
Cool. Sir Dennis.
Spiro hit it exactly how I see it as well. I feel like Back to the Future is definitely more pop culturally relevant. I mean, you see it on Family Guy, like
Rick and Morty. I mean,
Exactly. The whole show is based off of Back to the Future. And
Yeah.
it's just like it's such an iconic movie that people. I mean, Avengers Endgame, like that. Their entire structure was, even though they basically cursed it out in the movie. You know, I called it BS. But
right,
I think it's just pop culture wise. It's that's the first movie you think of. But again though, for cinema. Straight on, you can't really get better than what the cinematography that was in that movie, the acting. Like I said, you know, it's so realistic, and you get into these characters and you feel them as real people. And
you're talking about Goodfellas.
Yes, I'm talking about Goodfellas. Goodfellas is just so much cinematically more relevant and better with a it made such an impact. And again, man, like you see more of the films that are out today, like when you think of Blow, or you think of Wolf of Wall Street. I mean, same director, but like I feel like Leo DiCaprio is basically Ray Liotta in the same kind of like feeling. You know, he feels like that same character. And Goodfellas is just like for 1990, like, you know, it's a pretty graphic movie, and you see a lot of like, you know, stuff you just was not going to expect. So man, the acting, the cinematography, just the whole shebang, man. It's just impressive.
It's funny you mentioned the Leonardo DiCaprio character and the Ray Liotta character. Neither of those characters are good people, yet we love them so much. They're both pretty shitty fucking people that are the heroes of both of their stories.
Right.
It's kind of amazing how Scorsese puts the mirror towards us, and he's like, yeah, it's on you for liking these guys. It's not, I'm just showing you what they do. It's your fault for liking them. And it's pretty crazy how he makes that happen. Yeah, those, god damn, they're so good. Such good films. Let's go to we talked about the specific director's best work. Who's the God, I guess this is different. This is kind of a difficult question, but because it's so subjective. But who in your mind is the better director, or rather, who's the better director? Is kind of tough to say, but which director do you think has a better filmography with the greater impact on cinema? Dennis, you can go first. Better filmography with the greater impact on cinema overall, choosing the body of their work.
Okay. I mean, both of them have hard to say last names. Scorsese, Zemeckis. Very hard to say. And yeah, but when you look at Scorsese's filmography, I mean, Casino, Raging Bull, haven't seen it, and then Goodfellas and Wolf of Wall Street, and Departed. I mean, you could go on and on and on, and these are just like movies that just like really stand out. On the other hand, Robert Zemeckis, like, his movies are just like family movie masterpieces. Yeah. Castaway, Forrest Gump, Who Framed Roger Rabbit. One of his recent movies, although it wasn't kind of like family oriented, but it was still a powerful. Flight. Yep.
Flight's fantastic. Love Flight.
Fantastic movie, and like those. I think his movies just sit with you longer. I think Scorsese's movies make impact in cinema as like a certain look. Like he invents these things. He like creates almost a trend. Kind of like why am I blanking on freaking Tarantino? Yeah, like you think of Scorsese, like you get excited for Scorsese movies, like the same way you get excited for Tarantino movies, because they're shot in a certain way, and you're looking for that kind of look. Zemeckis, it's all about storytelling for him, and that's what I really get on board with.
Spiro, hit it up.
I think it's no doubt about. I think it's Scorsese. I mean, you look at from when he jumped on the scene with like Raging Bull all the way until The Irishman a couple of years ago. Dude's always putting out hits, putting out heaters. Always got the critical acclaims, got everybody's attention. His I mean, his casting has to be some of the best casting. Like, the people that he puts in his films are just top notch, insane. I mean, Leo DiCaprio, I think, has really flourished since he started working with De Niro. And I don't know if even the films that what did I say?
You said De Niro. It's all right.
De Niro was the original.
He was the original DiCaprio. Yeah.
De Niro, DiCaprio, tomato, all the same, you know. But I think, Zemeckis, after Castaway, it was like he was put on that island with Tom Hanks. Like, he hasn't really done much since 1999.
Well, Flight, I guess, would be the...
that's okay. I'm not a big...
Not a big Flight fan?
Yeah, no, not a big Flight fan. I mean, I've been on airplanes. I mean, I haven't seen the movie, but I'm assuming it's on an airplane, so
I haven't seen it. Okay, that's fine.
I haven't seen it, but maybe it's about an airplane. I don't know. Enough airplane movies for me, but no, I think, every 2 or 3 years you see De Niro come out with some movie that's getting all the hype, all the buzz, and they're just well strung together pieces. And yeah, I think from top to bottom it has to be Scorsese.
Interesting. It's tough for me. I'm gonna, not that I'm choosing sides here.
Yes, you are.
But I'm
choosing
sides. I have to go with Scorsese as far as total body of work, total body of work. Because once you add in Raging Bull and Goodfellas and Casino, and
Gangs of New
York and Hugo and Aviator, I think, is one of DiCaprio's best performances. And thrown Departed, Wolf of Wall Street. But then again, Zemeckis is like you said, just between Forrest Gump and Back to the Future alone, those two, are two of the most iconic movies ever made. It's tough to say. It's tough. It's tough. But yeah. Speaking of cast, which is going to lead me to my next. I think it's going to lead me to my next question, which is, let me see. So the casts in the film. This is a fun. Fuck that question. Let's go to the cards. Let's do if you could star. Dennis, you're a voiceover actor, but I'm making you act. Told you I was going to make you act. You're going to act. Ooh. If you could star. Listen, kid. If you could star in either film, which one would it be, and which character would you choose? Dennis, since you're not an actor, I'm gonna put you on the spot. I'm gonna make you go first because I'm a dick.
That's really tough, man. Because you got two movies that have so great lovable characters that you both love. For definitely comedic value though, you definitely got to go with Tommy in freaking Goodfellas, because I'm a white guy. What do you mean funny? What do you mean? What do you mean? Just I'm funny to you, huh? You think I'm funny? Is that funny to you? I'm a funny guy. Dude, that's just that. I just think his character is so much fun. I would love to be him, although I know he just doesn't end well for him. But dude is, man. If I was gonna star, I want to be Joe Pesci in that movie, because
Joe Pesci, Goodfellas.
Yes.
Who's not gonna choose that? Go ahead. Spiro might not. I don't know.
I'm not. As much as I love Goodfellas, I'm not choosing to be any character in that movie because they all die, and there's a montage of all, even the guy that's just repeats things 2 times. Whether it's
Johnny 2 times. I'm gonna get the paper.
Even he does. He has one line where he just says the same line twice, and they kill him.
I love Johnny.
Everybody dies. He's one of my everybody except Karen. I think Karen's the only one that does it, and Henry Hill.
Well, you said earlier that you're like a real life Karen, according to your earlier statement. But which character would you play as an actor? Which one would you most want to play? Literally between either movie, you can be anyone.
Oh man,
you can be Karen if you want. It doesn't matter.
Does anybody want to be Karen nowadays? I don't know.
Karen.
She flushed $60,000 worth of coke down the toilet. She's the OG Karen.
They would have never found it. Yeah.
She's the OG Karen. She's the reason why.
Yeah, they would have found the cocaine. They would have
Karen.
found the cocaine though. They would have found the cocaine.
Right.
She was
one of my favorite. I quote that scene in my house. Like, we quote that all day long. Whenever something happens, well, I could just flush $60,000 over the cocaine, Karen. Just scream it in our house for no reason. But I guess, I mean, if I were to play anybody, I would probably pick Doc from Back to the Future. He's fun. He's zany. Like, it's a character that, as an actor, as a comedian, I mean, Christopher Lloyd is one of the greatest character actors ever.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, like, yeah, playing being able to have fun and stretch and be able to do whatever you want. I mean, you guys know, as actors, voice actors, like, that's the best feeling in the world, having something that you could really expand on and have fun with. So it's probably what I would do.
Oh man, it's tough because I'm not right for it, but the Crispin Glover character in Back to the Future would be so much fun to play. But it's tough not wanting to be the Tommy character, not wanting to be Joe Pesci.
Lorraine, I'm your density. I mean, destiny.
Destiny. Oh God, it's tough to recast. Like, here's a question: could either movie be remade today and recast? Like, could it be remade today, or could it even be made today? Like, could either movie they should never remake either of those. I know Hollywood remakes everything, but those seem like two untouchable films. I mean, I think they're remaking Scarface and putting it basing it like with the Mexican cartel and placing it, I think, somewhere in California instead of, or I don't know where they're placing it, but either way they're doing it in Mexican.
Scarface is like already a remake, right? There was like 2 other ones before that.
Exactly. That's what I was gonna say. That's why I'm okay with that. That's already a remake. But Goodfellas and Back to the Future, I don't know how you could possibly remake that. I don't even know how you could cast that today.
No.
Who could possibly fill those in either film? But if you had to, what do you guys think?
Lost you guys.
If you had to, who could play anything in either movie? Any ideas? You guys can just shoot it out if you got something. I don't know. I'm throw noodles at the wall here. You know what I mean? Got noodles. Just don't. I don't know what's sticking.
My laptop lagged, so I don't know what you said.
Oh, okay. Let's just start at the get, Brendan. We may have to go back we may have to go back to the future.
Sorry.
Because his laptop lagged. We might have to go back to the past or back to the future. Who knows what? But if you were to, could either of those movies be remade today? And if so, could it be cast? And who would you cast? Spiro, go ahead.
I think both of them. I mean, I think both of them could. I think Irishman kind of showed that, like, people still watch the mob genre. So I don't think, like, the material or the subject matter would be an issue. Back to the Future obviously would be a good one as well. I don't think they should, but I think they would have an easier time making Back to the Future because the casting would essentially be easier. Yeah. I would think. I think you could find somebody. You could put like Zac Efron and John Malkovich and get like a Back to the Future that would be interesting. It'd be interesting. Like, you can't throw, for Goodfellas, who are you gonna throw in there? Like,
I don't know who
like Zach Galifianakis and Seth Rogen. It'd be the worst. Like, I don't know who you'd put in. Like, put Leonardo DiCaprio in and go. That would be awful. That would be terrible. Yeah. Just putting in Scorsese's new favorites into his old movie.
Not good at all. Dennis, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with Spiro because, I mean, Irishman, although that's one I haven't seen too, Irishman is kind of what that was, that was their kind of a, not remake, but, carrying that kind of same energy. But yeah, man, I would never want to see either one of these movies remade.
No.
Back to the Future, although like the technology would be super fun to play with CG and stuff, but it'll be fun to go back to the 90s maybe if you're living in this terrible 2020, and it'll be fun to go back and just kill all the bats that started coronavirus. But yeah, man, like, as far as casting though, I want to see Bernie Sanders as Doc Brown. I think he'll be. I think this time we need to go back to the future. I think that'll be great. But
feel the burn.
Yes, feel the burn. I'm gonna get my 1988 DeLorean and go back to the future. But yeah, I think it would be interesting to see a Back to the Future remake. More of a TV series. I think that would be more interesting if you'll make it into like, you know, kind of like how Bill and Ted is just going back to different times and stuff, and maybe every different episode can focus on a different time that's changed their lives and stuff. So I think it would be interesting to have a TV series, but not a movie.
Not a movie. You bring up an interesting point. Let's say those movies never existed. Could they be made today for the first time? I feel like they would just epically fuck them up. Maybe not Goodfellas as much. I mean, you're right. Casting, it's hard to pretend it never got made. And now we just have to cast it today. I don't know who's going to fill in those roles. Once again, De Niro, Pesci, all of them are way too old to play those characters now. So I don't know who would fill it. I feel like Back to the Future would be more feasible as far as being made for the first time. Although, would it be able to, you know, I think CGI and all that would possibly fuck it up.
Yeah.
It absolutely would fuck it up.
You know?
I mean, I feel like Tom Holland, you know, he's like the golden kid right now. He's doing everything.
Oh,
You know, he could be a good. They even actually had. You have to look up the deep fake. There was a deep fake somebody made. It was Tom Holland
De Niro and Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah, it was fantastic. It looks pretty scary and eerie. But yeah, I could definitely see Tom Holland as Marty McFly.
Tom Holland is a great choice for Marty McFly. I'm having trouble. As amazing as Robert Downey Jr. is as an actor, and he is. I mean, he could be Doc Brown, but is he the best Doc Brown? No. I don't know. Who'd you say before? John Malkovich, Spiro?
John Malkovich. I don't know. It just seems like something he would do with his mouth all the time. Like, it just seems like a character for Malkovich. I could just see it happening.
What about?
I mean, I think.
What about Walken?
I think
Christopher Walken.
Oh, Christopher Walken would be good
as Doc Brown and.
Yeah. If Robin Williams was alive, that would be something I would love to see.
True.
Ah, that would be
Robin Williams as Doc Brown.
He would be a fantastic Doc Brown, especially now as if he were alive, he would have been a little older and a little grayer. Because you gotta have him. You gotta have him with the gray hair. Just Christopher Lloyd is just so
iconic
and wacky and out there. It's tough to think of an actor. I feel like it's easier to replace. Not that I mean, really, I can only see Michael J. Fox playing it, but Tom Holland I think is a pretty goddamn good choice to play that character.
Especially the life preserver and the tight pants and the tight jeans.
Yeah, and I feel like you could have somebody else's Biff that makes sense. I feel like there's somebody we could use as Biff, even though those actors were so great. But I feel like that's a little bit easier to cast if we're making for the first time versus Goodfellas. I don't know who the fuck is playing De Niro. I mean, Ray Liotta, any of them really, but especially for me, De Niro and Pesci. I don't know how or who you're casting in those roles. I can't even think of actors right now that could believably play those roles.
Right. I don't know. Maybe Tom Hardy and a mixture of those type of cats, like a Tom Hardy, like a Joseph Gordon-Levitt, maybe Shia
LaBeouf, maybe.
Shia LaBeouf.
LaBeouf.
But I mean, it's tough because they're not even Italian. So all the other actors are Italian.
Colin Farrell, maybe.
Colin Farrell. Yeah, I mean, I think there's the potential, but again, like you got De Niro, you got Pesci, you got Liotta. They're all Italian boys. So
and how are you? For me, the trouble is casting the Joe Pesci character. I can't think. I just can't. I can't cast it. I can't think of who could possibly play. And that's a sign of a great performance, and obviously won Best Supporting Actor for that. I mean, that was my biggest problem with Solo. I mean, there's a lot of issues with Solo. We won't get into Star Wars. I'm not going to geek out. But it's because I think just similar with Indiana Jones. I know Dennis, you had said you'd never seen it, which was crazy. But it's impossible to me to replace Harrison Ford as Solo because he is Han Solo. He is Indiana Jones. Same way Joe Pesci is Tommy in Goodfellas. I can't see another actor stepping in and replacing him. I can't even think of who could possibly come close. Like I can see when you say Tom Holland as Michael J. Fox replacing Michael J. Fox in Back to the Future. It's like, oh, I could see that.
Yeah.
Different, but it makes sense. That makes total sense. You know, when you even when you say John Malkovich, as ridiculous as it is, as Doc Brown, it makes sense. I was like, oh, yeah, I can see that. There's nothing that makes sense with anything that makes sense with Joe Pesci.
No, nothing that I can think of.
Yeah.
Ooh, Steve Carell. Steve Carell could be in Goodfellas. Not as Joe Pesci. Not as Joe Pesci, but he could be in Goodfellas. I don't know who he would be, but I think he could play a good mobster because that's my favorite show of all time. Is Office. So you put the salad on top. I send it back.
Shia LaBeouf might be the closest because he's a little kooky in the head, so he might be the closest that could possibly play it, but that's still a pretty big stretch.
Yeah,
that's hard, man. Joe Pesci. Who could do another Joe Pesci?
Right? Because then you also, think about like who could replace him as one of the wet bandits in Home Alone and Home Alone 2.
Exactly.
Right? I mean,
he's just one of those. Nobody.
Terrible.
Somebody tweeted that what was this? It was they'd love to see a Home Alone remake with Kevin now older, but his life has completely fell apart, so he's now breaking into houses.
I would love that. That would be hilarious.
I don't want to see. You know what? I don't want to open. I don't want to open that wormhole. that feels like. That feels like that would take us down a scary path of them doing that with every single cherished childhood movie. Be like, what if we make it where their lives ruined?
I would like to see a real Home Alone 3 where you can see it, go full circle with Kevin being an adult and stuff, and I saw another theory, that the dad died and Kevin came back home to take care of his mom because she was a widow living in this big ass house, and so I don't know. I think I would like to see a Home Alone 3.
I could. Didn't they make a straight to video Home Alone with a different actor?
This kid, I don't know his name.
They got 3 and 4 out. It's on Netflix.
So there's already been a 3. Jesus. Oh my God.
Talk about best movie of all time. Home Alone 4 straight to Netflix.
Oh, shit.
What is that even? I mean, it's probably just rehash of the same plot, but some kid.
It's really bad. It's like an international spy.
I think 3 was like Russian spies.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one.
What, Russian spies? Were they hacking the election? Like, what is this going on in there?
No, they put like he got like a race car, and I think like the Russian spies put the chip in his race car to hide it from the police, and then they're trying to get the race car back.
That's exactly what.
Wait, did you watch this, or is this just what you got from the trailer?
No, this is really. I watched it
too. Never seen Indiana Jones, but I've seen Home Alone 3.
But you've seen Home Alone, so you can find time for Home Alone 3 and 4, but not time for Indiana Jones, and you just watched Goodfellas 2 days ago. God damn it, Dennis.
I think I've won the debate. I think it's done.
A terrible person.
Well, look, I'm just the moderator. I can't choose, so I have no say in who wins. But oh my God, that's so funny. Let's see here. So. Okay, well, while we're finishing on the casting, before we switch sides, the final question is for fun. Let's switch casts for fun. Let's switch casts between the films. Who would play who, and what would a mashup scene look like? Actually, yeah, and then let me before that, I missed a question. That we'll get to, but actually no. Let's stick with that question that I just said, and we'll do my final thing afterwards. So let's switch casts. Who would go where? We have to switch cast. So we have Crispin Glover. We've got Michael J. Fox. We've got Christopher Lloyd.
We don't know Biff's name because nobody knows. I have no idea.
And whatever the fuck the actor's name we play. By the way, he's an amazing actor.
He is.
In that role to play Biff. He plays it believably. You hate him. By the way, what we haven't mentioned yet is Back to the Future fucking 2.
True.
Which is better than the first one.
Oh.
Hot take.
That is a hot take, but to be honest, I love Back to the Future Part 2.
I do too.
Me too.
I love it. I when I was a child, I firmly believed that hoverboards were a real thing. And when I found out they weren't, I think that's the first time I remember being legitimately heartbroken as a kid. I mean, like, what is this bullshit? What do you mean? Then I saw the behind the scenes and I was like, what is this shit? And I was so devastated that these things didn't exist because I was like, this is what I need for Christmas this year is the hoverboard. I didn't cry, but I definitely teared. Did you guys believe that when they were like, no, those are definitely fake? I believed it. I saw it at a very young age.
I definitely wanted one super bad, and yeah, I think I probably put some fucking iron boards on the floor and jumped on those and just, you know, took my imagination to different levels. So I definitely wanted a hoverboard.
I don't think I wanted a hoverboard because how I was raised, it was always money's the most important thing. So I think I wanted that almanac so I could start betting on horses.
Real talk. Real talk.
It's like, where do I find that?
God. Oh, the sports almanac. God, that would be the greatest thing. That's the thing to get, is a sports almanac.
That's right. Like, then you can buy all the hoverboards you want, or the stock in hoverboards, so you can, you know, really take advantage of it.
Yeah, Back to the Future almost has an edge, going back to what we're saying about being the most iconic film. I know that Goodfellas is the greater impact on cinematic history and whatnot, but because Back to the Future almost has an edge because it has two sequels to it that are pretty fantastic sequels. I mean, part 3 is the lesser of all of them, I think.
I've probably seen 1 or 3. I mean, the third one from one time.
But part 2 is just so out there. It's such an insane fucking film.
I mean, like, it's so like iconic that I mean, I don't know if you guys, I don't know if Roberto, were you here in 2015 in Vegas?
I was, yeah.
Dude, so I went out there to the Plaza, you know, aka Hell Plaza,
right, where they
Hell
filmed
Valley,
it,
yeah. And I was there for the October 15th, 2015, or is it another date? It might be another date, but yeah, it was Back to the Future Day. It was the day that Marty came back or whatever. And everybody was dressed up. It was like a Star Wars day. Everybody was dressed up.
That's so cool.
Costume. I have photos of all this stuff because I went out there with my buddy. They had they had multiple DeLoreans. They had the Ukrainian van. They had the it was like a highlight of my life. One of the most greatest times ever, dude.
Oh, that's so cool. That's right. They filmed that here, the Plaza Hotel. Cool. That's Biff's. Biff's. What is it? What do they call the hotel?
Biff's. What is it? Biff's Pleasure Palace. Biff's Pleasure Palace, I think.
Yeah.
Which is now a strip club in Las Vegas.
Wait, tell me you're trolling me. Is it?
I'm trolling.
Oh my God! I was like, wait, what? I was like, that's genius.
But we should start it. Yeah. I think that's a good business decision for all three of us.
We should seriously. We should band together and
after we'll combine that and Goodfellas. People have to come in through the back, put their tables up. It'll
have a speakeasy element to it, dude. I think there's something there. So anyway, before I get to what was my original goddamn question?
Oh, recast.
So who's playing who? And on the other side, we got De Niro. We got Pesci. We got Ray Liotta.
So I think for Back to the Future, I think Pesci would have to play Doc Brown. I think that would be for sure. I think De Niro. I think De Niro would play Biff.
Interesting. I like that. I'm reversing it though.
Okay, and then I think Liotta would play Marty.
Yeah, Liotta's Marty. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Karen would be the girlfriend.
Leah Thompson.
Leah Thompson.
Yeah.
Well, in part 2, didn't she get replaced with Elizabeth Shue, I believe.
Yes, I think so.
Good old Elizabeth Shue.
Elizabeth Shue, who's so good in the show The Boys. Don't get me started on The Boys.
Well, no, I think because Lorraine was Marty's mom, and then Marty's girlfriend was the one that got replaced.
Oh, excuse me. Marty's girlfriend. I'm wrong. You're correct. I'm stupid. Yes. It's who is the actress that played the girlfriend? You're right. You're right. Lorraine. You're right. Leigh Thompson was throughout all of them. You're correct. Yeah. I'm wrong.
I'm not sure who played the girl because I mean hell, Marty was even recast because I think it was somebody else.
That's right. It was Eric Stoltz. Stoltz originally did that film, and God, that's gotta be so heartbreaking. I mean, obviously he's gone on to have a very great career, but imagine getting recast like 2 weeks or so into it. And they're like, hey, it's simply not working. The heartbreak. I just got sad thinking about that, putting myself in his shoes.
I don't know. I mean, I would have to say definitely Christopher Lloyd will have to be Joe Pesci's character. You have to be Tommy. You have to be Tommy because he's the best character actor on there. So I would definitely have to say that. And then Michael J. Fox, he'll have to be Henry, and Kristen Glover. Oh
my God, Crispin Glover.
Hey, you get your damn hands off him. Maybe I don't know who he could be.
I like the idea of Crispin Glover as Tommy. That would be.
Am I funny?
So,
am I funny to you?
Yeah. Am I a clown? I can't. Yeah, I can't even do Crispin Glover. Oh my God. What an out there actor.
He really is.
He really is. So before we get to our final question, before we switch sides, is which movie in your mind has the most iconic and memorable scene? Most iconic and memorable scene. Spiro, you can go first.
I'll defer. I'll say it's Back to the Future because of the range of people that it can hit. But I think the shot of the DeLorean going back in the flames on the tire tracks, I think that's just such an, like, whenever I think of that movie, that's like the first thing I think about, and I think it's just something, again, more people have had access to. I don't know. I think Goodfellas is one of those where it's iconic, and when people see stuff that refer to it, they go, or that they see the movie, they go, oh, that's what blah 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 was. Oh, that's what that reference was in that show, whatever. Where I think Back to the Future is a little bit more like, oh, that was from Back to the Future, or that's clearly they're referring to Back to the Future. So I think it's just more popular and more relevant to a wider mass of people.
Dennis?
Yeah, I mean, I have to agree with Spiro because, I mean, you think about it and it's like, I want to go 88 miles per hour and stuff. And like, you just think about that. It's like, let's see if these bastards can go 80. Like, I love that. And you really think about that scene, especially in the mall parking lot. And like, that's like automatically back to my childhood. However, though, with Goodfellas, like, my face lit up when, like, obviously it was my first time seeing it, and I saw where the meme where Henry's laughing, like, it was just full circle for me. It was like, that's where that came from. So that scene where he's like, you think I'm funny? Like, I love that because, you just see where that meme comes from.
Yeah.
It's I think.
What am I, a clown? I'm a clown?
Yeah. It's like, dude, that's a great scene. And then, like, Animaniacs with the pigeons. You remember the pigeons? Was it Goodfellas?
No, I don't.
You don't remember the Goodfellas? Oh my goodness! You have to watch Animaniacs.
No, but I'm gonna Google the fuck out of it as soon as I'm done with this.
Animaniacs is on Hulu right now. They just rebooted Animaniacs for the current times, but it was a fantastic cartoon from the '90s, and they had a skit all the time called the Goodfellas, and it was basically Goodfellas. And it was just. Everybody's character was a person from that movie, just iconic. So so it's tough between those two. So I'm a little bit torn, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm torn too because I mean, let's see if these bastards can do 88, and then the flames going through, that's it's all part of that one elongated scene. But am I a clown? I'm here to make you laugh. I'm a clown to you. I mean, that to me is one of the most famous scenes I think in cinematic history. But once again, the visual of Doc and Marty standing there between the flames, turning around with the license plate spinning. I mean, everyone would know. Everyone from young and old, big and tall, short and small, would know that scene. So that is tough. That's a tie for the folks at home.
And then one other point too, though, for Back to the Future is that I love the attention to detail because, like, when before he goes to the past. You see, it says, Twin Pines Mall, and then when he comes back, it's like singular. It's like One Pine Mall or whatever it is. I love that change of detail of, like, how he's changed the past and how it's affected the present. So I love those little things like that. That makes that scene even more iconic to me.
All right, guys, we've come to the time of the debate where we go ahead and switch sides. You have 1.5 minutes precisely. This is a very strict debate to argue for the opposing film. Spiro, you're going to take Back to the Future. and Dennis, you're going to take Goodfellas. Spiro, or Dennis rather, you are first up. You have a minute and a half. Argue why Goodfellas is indeed the greatest film of all time. Over. You have 1 minute, go.
I mean, it's Martin Scorsese, De Niro, Ray Liotta, Joe Pesci. I mean, and a whole bunch of other Italian guys that you know from pop culture. And like, it's just iconic. And like, the scenes you see are just brutal. Like, it's probably the greatest mafia movie you've ever seen. It has just almost a perfect story of seeing how you see this young man. He wants something and he goes out to get it. He gets a little too deep into it, and then finds out that he has to basically turn his back on his friends. And it's a story of of rising to the top, and then descending from the top, and ultimately to betrayal. And like, it's just a groundbreaking movie that everybody knows, and it's one of those movies that is just going to be on the Mount Rushmore of cinema. Especially for mafia and mob movies.
All right, Spiro. Back to the Future.
Let's do it. Back to the Future, man. I mean, it stands in a lot of people debate that time travel movies aren't great, and I think it's just because Back to the Future has done such a good job of just trumping every single one that's come after that. Like, it's a near flawless film. Everything, every loop, everything, question that you have about time travel is pretty much like they figured it out. There's no like, but what if this happened? What if this happened? What other time travel movies are there? The Time Traveler's Wife? Ugh, gross, right? Nobody likes that. The Time Machine? Overrated, right? Like, Avengers 2? Come on, like, we get it. We're trying to do your best Back to the Future. But no, I think it's just one of those, again, it's those icon, like, so much pop culture reference. Any show that you watch, any comedy that you watch, they're referring to it, they're referencing it, they bring back those good times, and it's something that you could watch over and over and over and over again. Notice new things, small details changing. It's something that it never gets stale because there's so much going on, and it's so ahead of its time for a lot of things. It's writing, it's casting, it's effects. It's hard to find a film that's just overall the quality that it has. So that's why I think Back to the Future is the greatest film
of all time.
Of all time.
Of all time. Guys, this is getting us to the end of the debate. Any final, you can switch back to your previous choice now. Any final comments you want to make on your movie of choice, Goodfellas versus Back to the Future? Spiro, go first, please. You're back to your other one.
Yeah, no, Goodfellas, I mean, even if you don't like Italian cult, even if you don't like mobsters, if you don't like violence, if you don't like swearing, if you don't like the cast, watch the movie because you will learn how they make spaghetti in prison. Who doesn't want to know how to make homemade spaghetti?
That's right. We didn't even talk about the cooking scene.
So, if anything, watch the movie for that.
Yeah, he slices the garlic enough so that it melts away in the pan
with the razors.
Oh, God! It makes I will say it makes prison seem okay. The way they do it.
Yeah, you just slip the guard 100 and you get your pasta and your sauce and you're good.
Yeah. Dennis.
Well, besides it being the greatest movie of all time, I mean, it's probably the most quotable movie of all time. Back to the Future, like, just think of everything you can muster. Honestly, like, you have, hey, Marvin, you know that sound you've been looking for? Well, listen to this. Iconic. I mean, all those things in Back to the Future is just, so relevant. Like, it stands up, like, no matter what year it is. I mean, you have, like, even, sorry, I lost track of what I was saying, but I think it's just one of the greatest films that just catapults a story of, like, seeing Marty as this guy who's just, a little bit stubborn, he's spoiled, and he's not grateful for his life, and he goes back and see how his family lived, and like you see that like character development and see how he can just change up everybody from the past to the present, and then Doc Brown, like the greatest supporting character of all time. I mean, you may as well say he starred in the movie, because it was more about Doc and his growth as a character, because like he basically prevented his own death. So like
that's very interesting. Yeah.
Like I think it's like just seeing these characters evolve and seeing their story, and I just and then hell, Biff and Lorraine and George, they all have full circle moments where they just go from like transformation, being this dorky guy that peeps on women and stuff, to being a well-selling author, and Lorraine being confident, a confident mom, and the brother and sister dynamic. And then Biff, Biff goes back to being he's still an asshole, but he's more of a servant, I guess, to the family rather than a nuisance. But I just think that it's just a perfect movie. It has everything that you want in a movie, and the just iconicness. That's my word of the day.
Iconicness. I think both films have a tremendous amount of iconicness. I think we can all agree on that.
Absolutely.
Yes. Guys, this has been great. I feel like we could talk film forever. Okay. And we've gone way over a lot of that's fine. The rules are, there ain't no rules.
Sorry, Brenda.
Yeah, sorry, Brenda. It's she's gonna be like, I said keep it short, and you did it. You don't listen to fucking anything. I don't even get to my Back to the Future death story. I'm gonna save it for another time. It involves the sound. It involves the soundtrack and me going 88 miles per hour with my teenage friends and getting into a terrible car accident where we all almost died, but nobody died, and everybody lived. And we used to real quick. I'm not gonna get to the story, but we used to have the Back to the Future soundtrack, and I'd pop it in I'd pop it into the radio in my car. And I'd turn to my friends and be like, let's see if these bastards could do 88. And we'd blast the music it's the most reckless shit imaginable. Kids should not drive till they're much older. One time I did that, smashed my car up. But nobody died. Nobody died, so that's good.
Good for you.
It's good.
Yep. I'm alive doing this podcast. You guys are here. Guys, thank you. Thank you so much for doing this. To the folks at home, let's try that again. Once again, to the folks at home, we are available on Apple, Spotify, Buzzsprout, YouTube, all standard podcast platforms. Follow us on IG at Let's Hug It Out Podcast and Let's Hug It Out Podcast.buzzsprout.com. Who won the debate? Let's do a call to action. Who won the debate? Who won the fucking debate? Please, after you listen and subscribe, go ahead and comment on your platform of choice. Also, if you at home would like us to debate a specific topic, please message us on any one of those available platforms after you've subscribed, or find me on IG at Radling, RAAD, as in David, LING, and hit me up. Guys, is there anything you'd like, before we do our final virtual hug, is there anything that you guys would like to plug or anything like that? Dennis, do you have anything you want to, I know you've got the great video. Where can they find the video that you're making with our partners?
You can visit lbcba.com. You can visit our Facebook, IG, YouTube channel. It's going to be live streaming on the 31st for New Year's.
What is New Year's exactly?
This year is just unlimited.
What is New Year's exactly? Does it even matter? You know what's funny is people are going to expect 2021 to be like, oh, so glad 2020 is over. I'm like, what the fuck is going to be different? Like, what's going to be so different after this shit show of a fucking year?
So man, just look out for that. It's going to be super cool. Really excited to get that out there. And then also have a YouTube channel. You can find me on movies, shows, and fandoms. We talk about just everything, exactly what I just said in the title. I mean, right now I'm working on a series called Rehashing the MCU. So that should be out very soon.
Very cool. Awesome, man. That sounds great. Sir Spiro, what do you got?
Y'all can follow me on all social media platforms. Spiro in that show. So my name, Spiro in that show. TikTok, Instagram, all that good stuff. If you want to watch me do skits about me making fun of my wife, TikTok is where it's at. If you guys are into that kind of stuff. But if you're into stand-up comedy and all that stuff, Instagram. So Spiro in that show for everything. If you guys are looking for some entertainment.
And for locals who are already here, where can they find you doing stand-up? Can they find all that information on what you just said?
Oh yeah, on my if you follow me on Instagram, anywhere that I'm doing stand-up locally or around the country, you guys, I'll be posting it there.
Awesome, guys. Once again, thank you so much. Now's the part of the show where we have to hug it out at the end. So we're just gonna come in real good, real nice, and just do a little virtual hug. There you go.
6 feet hug.
That's not.
Excuse my virtual pit stains because I was getting
that's
pretty
okay.
excited.
Yeah, and I always give my guests a little kiss, just a little European style, European style. But guys, thank you so much. Do I have another outro here that I'm fucking missing? I don't know. What do I say? Say, keep hugging, always wear a mask. Just hug yourself. Don't do virtual hugs. Stay safe. All that shit. God, I suck. All that shit. And guys, once again, thank you so much for doing the show. That's it. That's all I got to say.
Roberto.
Enjoy the film.
Man. Thank you.
You got it. Yeah, I hope to have you on again. And guys, go follow their shit that they just said. Those at home, go follow their shit. These are very talented individuals here. I only have the most talented people imaginable on my show. That's all I got. So go follow them. They're awesome. And thanks for listening to Let's Hug It Out podcast with Roberto Raad. Do stay safe. And that's it. Bye. Bye. And see.